Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. Welcome back, and thanks for downloading another episode of Topper Talk Podcast. As always, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Topper_Talk, and head on over to our YouTube channel at Topper Talk Podcast. Give us a follow over there, subscribe, get updated anytime we drop a new episode. We've got a lot of good videos over there, some interviews, Coach Lutz, Christian Lander, Kason Barton, Nante Davis, our first ever interview. Just a really, good catalog of episodes over there. Share those links, tell a friend, tell a Hilltopper in your life, let them know what we're doing, trying to spread the word, and just cover all WKU sports for the fans. As always, I've got Tyler here with me. Tyler, man, we got a big episode to jump into. You ready?
Yeah, man, I am ready. Let's get into it.
As always, this podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. They are the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you're looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. Again, like I always say, will be the best money you spend, the best call you make. If you're moving, a big move, a small move, just within Bowling Green, out of state, wherever, they're going to make your life a lot easier and do it for a good price. So definitely give them a call and see how they can help you out. Now, before we jump into the main part of the episode, recapping our game versus Sam Houston State, let's get caught up with the Red Towel wrap-up, which is going to let us know what all WKU sports and athletics we've missed since our last recording. So, Tyler, hit us with that Red Towel wrap-up.
All right, so on 11/17, the volleyball team swept Jacksonville State 3-0. The next day, the volleyball team beat UTEP 3-2. Women's basketball beat Miami of Ohio 63-43. Men's basketball team beat Kentucky State last Saturday 95-75. The volleyball team beat New Mexico State University, swept them 3-0 to win the Conference USA tourney. Go volleyball team. Women's basketball beat Bucknell 63-45, and the WKU volleyball team is ranked number 21 headed to the NCAA tournament selection. That is a heck of a good Red Towel wrap-up. Moff, back to you.
Yeah, that was a really good Red Towel wrap-up. The volleyball team obviously getting back to their winning ways in the conference tournament. Just that's what we expect from Travis Hudson and his team, his program. They did have a little bit of a nail-biter that UTEP game. They went 5 sets, but ultimately they got the victory. And then Saturday, we went 4-0 on the day. Volleyball started out the day with the victory. Women's basketball, they have become the third quarter Lady Tops. They go into half with a little losing. Third quarter, they blow up, take the lead, and ultimately win. Men's basketball beat Kentucky State, and obviously the football game today that we're going to recap. Just a really good week in sports, just a lot of winning, no losses in there, so always good. WKU volleyball being ranked 21. Can you do something for me? Heading into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
All right, now jumping into the main part of the show, we've got the game versus Sam Houston State to recap. We hosted them this past Saturday. It was senior day. It was a sunny day outside. It was cooler. It was good football weather, just as Hunter Lee forecasted in our game day weather. In the preview episode, the seniors, I believe there were 14 of them, were recognized on the field before the game. Tailgating was a decent atmosphere. It wasn't as packed as it had been for several earlier games this year, but it was still a pretty decent, showing on South Lawn, especially given the cooler weather. And I guess you can say the expectations that have fallen off the table a little bit. We're not playing for quite as much as what we were, in the earlier games this season when there was still excitement and buzz with the team. But still a good overall showing and atmosphere for tailgating. There was an announced crowd of 11,041 people on hand to watch this game. WKU was able to escape with a 28-23 victory, and we secured bowl eligibility, and we now have an overall 6-5 record heading into our last week versus FIU. Tyler, man, how did this game, just from an aerial view, how was this game for you, just getting to watch and see how it played out?
Well, as Randy Lee calls it, it's a Tums tosser. If you'd have told me going into the game on Saturday that Austin Reed was going to throw 4 picks and we was going to cough up a fumble, and you would have told me we was going to win, I would have probably called you a liar. Um, First of all, I wouldn't have thought Reed was going to throw all them interceptions like he did. So yeah, I it was very frustrating game, and man, that defense came up strong.
Yeah, we're not here to sugarcoat things, sugarcoat games, sugarcoat victories and losses, etc. Yeah, we just sometimes we need to call it like it is. And this season one has been disappointing. I mean, we both and most of the fan base came in, and even Conference USA media that voted us preseason favorites came in with expectations of a 9, 10, maybe even 11 win season. And here we are in week 11, struggling to get by and beat a 2-win Sam Houston team at home to get our sixth win. Maybe we get 7 against FIU next week, maybe this coming Saturday, maybe we don't. Definitely going to a bowl game. That's always the lowest level of a go that we have for any season. We want to make a bowl game. We want to make a conference championship game. We want to win that. We want to win our bowl game. That's if we ever are good enough, like Liberty is this year, to be in consideration for that NY6 bowl, for the playoffs as they expand. Obviously we want to be there and do that. But this season had high expectations, and we've fallen short of it. There's no way to sugarcoat that. Not point and blame at any one person or player or coach, etc. It just has been an overall disappointing season. It is what it is. We're going to call that what it is. Now, offensively, WKU was led by quarterback Austin Reed, and I'm going to say led by him with a grain of salt and an asterisk because, like you said, I don't think any of us foresaw that he was going to throw 4 interceptions in the game. Had arguably his worst game as a Hilltopper on his senior night, and then also had the fumble on it was a botched little pitch or handoff early in the game. So 5 turnovers that Austin Reed directly had a hand in the game. He did finish the game 28 out of 41. He had 392 passing yards, one of his better passing games of the season. He had 3 touchdowns. Sounds good. 4 interceptions, and then that lost fumble. Quite frankly, it was ugly. It was not what you want to see on senior night. It's not what you want to see to have to overcome to beat a 2-win team. But luckily, we were able to overcome those turnovers and get that victory. Elijah Young was our leading rusher. He had 15 carries for 55 yards. Malachi Corley, he was our leading receiver. And what was his swan song here at Houchin Smith Stadium, his last home game, he finished with 10 catches for 171 yards with 1 touchdown in the game. So, Tyler, how did the WKU offense look for you versus Sam Houston?
Well, I'm going the offense. Reed was disappointing, even though he did throw the 4 interceptions. We had 5 total turnovers. We still had 400 yards in total offense this year or this game. With 73 rushing yards, like I said, 392 passing yards. Craig Burke showed up. He grabbed another touchdown. Dalvin Smith, he got another touchdown. And I think I heard Randy Lee say this was the most interceptions he's seen thrown at Houchin Smith Stadium since he's been calling the games. So yeah, I mean, I was very frustrated when I was watching it and listening to it. I kind of split it up because I'm superstitious, and I was like, well, if I listen to it, they typically do good. If I watch it, they ain't done good. So I was trying to see which one's working for me at work that night, but. I mean, dang, it's just I was shaking my head. Reed thrown in double coverage, Reed overshooting his guys. It was really head scratching because I just wasn't expecting it, especially when we was playing against Sam Houston. Um, some disrespect to them because, I mean, really, you don't won 2 games this year. I wasn't expecting it to be a nail biter like it was, but no, we're about to talk about the defense, which really came up. Like I said, came up strong, kept us in the game, but I was not expecting this offensive output from this team.
Now, defensively, WKU was led by Kendrick Simpkins and Talik Allen. It was also nice to have Upton Stout back out there for the first game in 6 weeks. I believe it was the MTSU game. He went out when he broke his collarbone, had surgery on that. He was back in the game, making tackles, helping lead our team on the defensive side of the ball. And really, our defense kept us in this ball game. They really limited Sam Houston on the field, stopped him on a lot of third downs, generated some timely turnovers with interceptions by Desmond Baker and Anthony Johnson Jr. at opportune time to seal this game. So, Tyler, how did the defense look against Sam Houston State?
Well, the Russian defense really came up big because we only held them to 86 yards rushing, which that is the lowest number of rushing yards that we've allowed all season. They had 357 total yards of offense, 271 through passing. Nante Davis, friend of the show, got back there into the backfield and got at least 1 tackle for loss. Like you said, they came up with the game-saving interception in the end zone. Whenever our offense would turn the ball over, the defense just came up strong. They bend don't break. Coming into the season, the defense was the biggest question mark that our team had, and I believe that they proven themselves to be probably one of the strongest units that we had. So I was happy with the way they played. I was happy with the turnovers, of course, that they got. But no, the defense really kept us from getting embarrassed this past Saturday.
Yeah, the defensive unit has definitely stepped up, especially given their youth and injuries and just all the adversity on that side of the ball. A lot of new position coaches. There's a lot of new on that side of the ball. And if not for them, I mean, still near the nation's lead in turnovers and turnover margin. Obviously, we didn't help that for the 5 today in this game that we're talking about. But, just really stepping up and helping us. Even when they're getting gashed for yards, they're making plays and being a little bit more bend, don't break. So really proud and impressed for them. Going forward, I think it'll be very advantageous that some of these guys are getting game reps and kind of, thrown in the fire, and you got to learn on the field. For a second week in a row, we're going to talk about some special teams because we did once again have Corey Munson out there punting for Tom Ellard, who is still missing in action, to be determined if he will return for FIU or the bowl game. Doesn't sound like it. If you're listening close enough to the ground, it sounds like this is going to be a permanent change for this season. But Corey Munson came in and redeemed himself after averaging 30 yards in his first outing against New Mexico State. He had 3 punts for 137 yards, which is a 45.7-yard average, including that one beauty that he had early in the game that he bombed and had it inside the 5-yard line and was downed. And then Easton Messer came in and had a really good return game again. This is the second game in a row where he's really kind of made a difference in flipping that field position, not just having us back there at 20, 25-yard line. He had 3 kick returns for 89 yards, good for a 29.7-yard average. Lucas Canero, he did not have any field goal attempts, but he was 4 out of 4 on extra points. So nice to see him splitting the uprights there. That's what we need to happen. So, Tyler, how did special teams look for you against Sam Houston State? Obviously, it was a good bounce back for them.
Oh yeah, it was. Munson, I think that bomb went 53 yards down the field. So a huge improvement from 2 weeks ago, whenever he first stepped foot out there as the punter. And Messer, I mean, on the radio, they said Messer learned a little bit from Malachi Corley because he ain't going down whenever he first gets contacted. He's driving through, he's gaining them extra yards, which is awesome to see. Instead of it's entertaining to me to see someone actually field the kick and run with it instead of just sitting back there and letting it hit behind him in the end zone or calling for a fair catch. yeah, it's great for him to be able to get up and get us some extra yards, get us past the 25-yard line. And Canario, I mean, I ain't going to complain about him going 100 on extra points, unlike Sam Houston, the kicker who missed that field goal or missed the extra point kick. So it's good to be on the opposite end of that. But no, I think special teams played great this week whenever they came out there, and for only 3 punts, I'm glad that Munson only had to be out there for that long.
Yeah, now let's jump into the key indicators for this game before we hit the grades. WKU was able to outgain Sam Houston State 465 to 357 in yards. WKU had 21 first downs to only 18 for Sam Houston. WKU was 9 out of 17 on third down, but they were 0 for 2 on fourth down. Sam Houston State was 4 out of 16 on third down and 3 out of 4 on fourth down. WKU had 5 turnovers. Ugly. We've said that. We're not glossing it over. It was ugly. We had 5 of those. Sam Houston State had 3 turnovers. Time of possession, WKU had the ball for 30 minutes and 17 seconds. Sam Houston had the ball for 29:43. So, a game that looks like our defense, held them to 25% on third down conversions. We outgained them by over 100 yards, and we were still able to overcome the -2 deficit on turnovers, with us having 5, them having 3, and get this win. So, albeit a little disappointing that it was such a close game to, someone that we were favored to beat by 12, someone with 2 wins on the season. But I'm glad that we were able to overcome those things, and get a win for the seniors on senior night, send them off the right way, clinch bowl eligibility, and get ready for our game with FIU and then the bowl game. So let's jump into some grades. Tyler, what do you got for the offense against Sam Houston?
Well, if it wasn't for the 5 turnovers, it would be a great grade. But and we were only 35 yards away from a 500-yard game, which with that many turnovers, I just wouldn't be expecting it to get that, expecting us to have that many yards. So I'm gonna go with a C+ for offense just because of the turnovers.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little lower just because, the turnovers are there and it's ugly. And, take away any one of those 5 and maybe we have a comfortable win. Take away most of those 5 and we maybe win by double digits going away. With 5 turnovers, still able to put up 28 points, we could have maybe sniff 40 with a couple more touchdowns. So I'm going to give the offense a D. It was a good yardage output. But the game was so close, like we had to keep the pedal down late in the game to try to advance the ball to score to win. This is a game I would rather been bleeding out the clock to end the game, but it wasn't that, unfortunately. So I'm going to give the offense a D. Rough grade, not great, but again, not sugarcoating it, not glossing it over. Just wasn't a pretty win. What about the defense?
So the defense, now I was surprised that we had the ball more than Sam Houston State did. I wouldn't be expecting that, like I said earlier, with the turnovers. But defense came out there, really kept us in that game, and I believe the reason for us winning that game because they're in the last closing seconds. I mean, if Baker or Anthony Johnson Jr. wasn't there, I think the game we'd be talking about a loss and we'd be even more pissed off. But I'm gonna give the defense a because like I said, that they kept us in the game. They let us win the game.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. They limited them on third down. They created turnovers. They held them to only 23 points. They did what they were supposed to do on their side of the ball to win this game. They got an A. They deserve an A. Hats off to those guys. They won that ball game for us. What about the special teams? What do you give them as a grade?
Well, with the vast improvement that they had from 2 weeks ago, I'm gonna give them an A because Messer's doing his job. Munson got a whole lot better on his punting, and Canario went 100% on extra points. So A.
Yeah, all the kickers, specialists, Issa Messer, everybody did their job. KD Hutchinson, we didn't talk about. KD did have one kick return that he maybe shouldn't have got his hands on, and he ended up jumping on it. It didn't. If it had been a turnover, this would be a different grade. But that was kind of a learning lesson of it was a ball that was booted farther than he expected. He had to back up, retreat to get to it. He ended up touching it, dropping it. It rolled, bounced quite a bit before he jumped on it, and defenders were closing in at that point. So that was a close one. But like you said, Corey Munson, trying to earn the new title of the boot with a couple games to go, trying to take that title from Mr. Ellard and John Haggerty before him. Easton Messer had a good game. Canero, extra points, perfect. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to keep happening. So I'm giving those guys an A as well. What about the coaching? What do you give the grade for the coaches?
All right, so whenever Reed was throwing them picks, I was expecting maybe someone to go over there and try to calm him down, talk, find out what his problem was, tell him how to correct that problem. Obviously, they're early in the game. They didn't even think about it, or they didn't do it, or it just didn't take. Defense, Tyson Summers, man, that dude's coaching his ass off, if you ask me. I mean, he has defense ready to go. And, I mean, the offensive performance, offensive coaching is probably going to bring this grade down from what I would give it if it was just, if we separate them, offense, defense. But I'm going to give them a C because, I mean, come on, guys. Make adjustments or try to get your quarterback's mind right.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm gonna give him a C as well. And I'm kind of the same as you. Offensively, there were some head scratchers. All those interceptions, every single one, it felt like we were staring down the receiver, staring down Malachi Corley. They were all throws out to the boundary, stretched out, low percentage throws versus, picking over the middle of the field. We see success when we go over the middle of the field, dump something off, and let them get yards after the catch. And then late in the game, we were up 5, driving down the field, and I think it would have been a 40-some-odd yard field goal that we could have attempted to put us up by 8 if we would have made it, with obviously Sam Houston getting the ball with a couple minutes in time to try to drive to – they would have had to score and go for 2 to tie the game, versus we went for it on 4th down, didn't convert, and then they were able to march and come back down our way. Luckily, we got an interception, sealed the game, but – just decisions like that just when you have an opportunity to make it a one-score game instead of, a touchdown would have beat us. If they had come down and a fluke play or blown coverage or whatever, we lose that game. Or, we're getting the ball left with, 20, 30, 40 seconds left to try to go make magic happen, which we know is low percentages. So coaching, there's some decisions I didn't agree with. I didn't like some adjustments we didn't make. But that's kind of been the tale of the season. So I'm giving them a C. What about the fans and the atmosphere of the game? Would you give a grade for that?
Well, what they said there was 11,000 people announced there. It wasn't overly cold. It wasn't, break out the Carhartt and insulated bibs weather. I wish more fans could have been there. So, I mean, I'm probably going to give them a C as well. Listen to it on the radio. If there's a lot of people there, whenever something good happens, you can hear the fans yelling, cheering, what have you. But on the radio, you couldn't really hear much from them. You could always hear that's good enough for a Hilltopper first down. So I'm going to give them a C, I believe. A C plus.
Yeah, again, I'm right there with you. Like I said, tailgating was decent. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. The crowd, when I first got into the game and sat down, 20, 30 minutes before kickoff, it was really sparse. The band was still on the field. They weren't up in their seats. And, the old side looked pretty empty. Sam Houston didn't bring a lot of fans with them. They did bring some, though. So I was glad to see some orange in the visitor section, but there wasn't a lot. But as the game, first quarter wore on, it did fill in on both sides, new side and old side filled in on the lower half pretty nicely. Obviously, if you see a picture of the full field, the top of the new side is pretty dense, pretty sparse as always. Not a good crowd there, but atmosphere wise, they recognize the players. That was always good and fun and kind of cool. They recognize the cheerleaders. They recognize the band. It's always a good day on senior day to just recognize all those people, that have put so much time and effort to all these home games and, really have dedicated a big chunk of their college experience to what the game day is for everybody, and they all bring some to the table, especially the band. Felt like there were 40 band members that got recognized, but they do a lot for the games and make it exciting and watchable. But overall, it was a good game. It was a win. I don't, not the the win police. I don't grade what this win was or should have been. Win's a win, whether you win by 1 or 100. As long as it goes in that left hand column, we've secured bowl eligibility. We're going into FIU winning now instead of hoping to beat them to get a 6 win. So it always could be worse. I'm really glad to get this win. Had to fight through some adversity to get it, but we got it, and that's all that matters. So that's it for Sam Houston. We're going to get into our FIU preview on the other side of this break. Now, this Saturday, 11:25, WKU travels down to Miami, Florida to face off versus FIU in the regular season finale. The game will kick off at 2 p.m. Central Time. It will be on ESPN Plus. WKU enters this game with a record of 6-5, while FIU is 4-7. WKU is currently a 10-point favorite according to Vegas, with an over/under of 54.5. The ESPN Power Index loves WKU to win with an 82.8% chance of winning. FIU is coming off with 3 consecutive losses and needed double overtime to beat Sam Houston in their last victory, which was over a month ago. Now, these teams have played 16 times in total, with WKU holding a 10-6 series advantage, including last year's 73-0 throttling that I know both of us remember. I'm sure anyone in attendance at Western, we were running out of fireworks during that game. And I'm sure there's some people on the other side of the field, as we're coming down to their home now, that remember that and kind of, have a bitter taste in their mouth. So that was our last game. I guess, Tyler, how does this year's game look to you versus FIU?
Well, I would like to say it looks like another 73-0 throttling, but with the way that the offense is played, our offense is played, I think they're going to get some points on us. I think it's probably going to be closer than what we initially thought. Definitely my preseason score prediction looks like, but I think Western has a pretty good chance of winning this one comfortably, and probably going. I was going to say cover the spread, but definitely winning comfortably. I think the spread is what you said, 10 points, 10-point spread. I think Western's going. I do think Western's going to cover the spread. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. The 73-point prediction probably not happening again this year. I think it would take us 2 or 3 games to get 73 on the scoreboard by how this season has gone so far, unless there's just the switch comes on versus FIU. Maybe that's what it is. Now, offensively, FIU is led by quarterback Keon Jenkins. He's a 5'11", 190-pound freshman. He's 167 out of 283 for 2,173 yards with 8 touchdowns and 9 interceptions on the season. Their leading rusher is Shamari Lawrence. He's a 6 foot, 200-pound sophomore. He has 546 yards and 4 touchdowns on 118 carries. And their leading wide receiver is Chris Mitchell. He's a 6'1", 175-pound junior. He has 56 catches for 1,002 yards with 7 touchdowns on the season. And this guy, he screams big playability, much like Malachi does for us. He's kind of the straw that stirs the drink. He has less catches, but he has more yards and nearly as many touchdowns as Malachi on the season. So, Tyler, how does the FIU offense look to you on paper?
Well, they also given up 45 sacks, and 36 of those sacks are on their starting QB. And he's also thrown 9 picks, and he only has 8 thrown touchdowns for the season. Their second leading rusher is Keyshawn Owens. He's rushed for 76 times for 440 yards and 5 touchdowns. And his average is 5.8 yards per carry. And their wide receiver core, there's a sharp drop off between Mitchell and their second leading wide receiver, which is Dean Patterson. He has 56 receptions for 407 yards and 1 touchdown. And the only other receiver to record a touchdown is Jalen Bracey, who has 24 receptions for 247 yards. And like I said, he's the only other one to record a touchdown. So I believe if our defensive line, linebackers, safeties can get back there and cause havoc in the backfield. Now that their quarterback does have I think a 58% completion rate, and maybe it's 58, 59. I saw that. I believe if our defense is able to get back there, sack him, cause some disruption, I believe the rest of our defense will be able to thrive. Shut down Mitchell. Uh, do what teams have done to Corley all season, bracket him, just make his life miserable for that game. And I believe the Tops are going to win this game. Their offense looks very leans on Mitchell a whole lot.
Yeah, their offense. I mean, they're young. They're improving. From what they were last year, they've had a lot of turnover. I feel like they'll get it right. They're in obviously a recruiting hotbed down in Florida, Miami. They're going to get some players and get better than what they've been the last couple of years. And I know they've lost some close games. They've lost games where they haven't just played well or consistent. But they're going to get there eventually, but not this week. Now, defensively, they're led by a couple of linebackers. The first one is Donovan Manuel. He's a 6'1", 230-pound senior who has 111 tackles on the season. He's going to be around the ball. When we're carrying it, trying to make a play, something over the middle, he's going to be right there. Another linebacker they have, Reggie Peterson. He's a 6'2", 225-pound junior. He has 89 tackles on the season and 3.5 sacks on the year. The defense only has 6 interceptions on the season. So this is, another game where maybe they don't have any ball hawks back there. Maybe that's going to be something we can exploit. I don't know. If you're listening to FIU coaches, sorry, prove us wrong because I don't think that you will. But Tyler, how does this defense look of FIU?
Well, they may not have no ball hawks, but they can force a fumble. They forced 10 over the seasons, and they've recovered 5 of them. So, they like to get in there, punch the ball out, hit the ball with their helmets. Do that. 15 sacks on seasons. I think our offensive line is going to be able to hold them. But definitely that defensive player with 111 tackles, he's definitely going to be around the ball a lot. You're probably going to see him all over the field. This team lost to MTSU 40-6. I saw that whenever I was looking over their schedule. And like you said, they went to they had to beat Sam Houston State in double overtime. Now, granted, we were close, but that's because our harking back five turnovers. I think our defense is going to be firing on all cylinders, and I think this is going to be an easy victory for us.
Yeah, I'd like to hope to agree. Obviously, we'll get that here in a minute. Keys to victory, MVT score prediction, but let's jump into that now. Let's start with your keys to victory. What's your first one versus FIU?
Well, I feel like after last week's game, it has to be take care of the ball. We had to be. We can't be just turning the ball over all the time like we did last week. Going to have to definitely take care of it.
Yeah, definitely. We need to win the turnover battle. I think at least one of us, or maybe both of us, said that leading into the Sam Houston game. We need to be the turnover tops. We need to be the takeaway tops. Whatever you want to call us, we need to be the ones creating turnovers, not giving the ball away, because we don't want to breathe life into a team that has nothing to lose. And that's kind of what Sam Houston State was. They were playing, going for it on 4th down. They had nothing to lose against us, whereas we were playing for bowl eligibility. FIU's kind of in that same boat. Whether they win or lose, it's going to be 5 wins. They're not playing in the postseason. They're just going to come into this game hungry, want to avenge that 73-0 last year. So, yeah, we need to take care of the ball, limit turnovers, and win the turnover battle. What's your second key?
Well, you're right. FIU can try to come and play a spoiler because I know they would love nothing more than to beat us in the regular season finale and make our record 6-6. Hopefully, get to 7-5. But I think my second key is just play our game. Don't worry about them. We know Reed is a gunslinger. We know we got receivers who can catch the ball and make a play. So just play our game.
I think my second one is going to be kind of hand in hand with limiting the turnovers, which is, we want to get Austin's confidence back up. He was throwing a lot of boundary throws, getting picked off, staring people down. We need to switch things up. Get away from those low percentage throws that are, deep balls or all the way to the boundary, which are, tough throws. Throw some easy passes, some intermediate, those screens over the middle, kind of the body shots, before you take one of those big chunk plays, occasionally. I think we just need to kind of reestablish his confidence. Let him see some balls be caught by our players. Let the playmakers make plays, and see what happens from there. What's your third key to victory?
So like I said earlier, their quarterback has 36 sacks on him this year. This key to victory is going to be make the quarterback's life hell. I would like to see, hopefully, 5, 6 more sacks on him. If we could get up to 10, 11, more the merrier. But I want him. Every time he snaps the ball back, I want him to think someone's coming to hit me. So definitely put pressure on him.
I'm going to go with, lean on your running back. I think Elijah Young at this point, while we're not going to be a run heavy offense, if it's, going to be 2-1, 60-40, whatever that mix is from pass to rush, I think Elijah Young has earned the opportunity and the right to, be the workhorse. We rotate running backs a lot. We put Step in, we put Urban Poindexter, LT Sanders. I think when Elijah Young's in there, he's getting 15, 16 carries a game. He's proving that he's a workhorse. He can run, he can break tackles, he's big gains. I think he's proved his worth, and hopefully he's a running back that we can keep around for future seasons. So I think maybe lean on Elijah Young a little bit more, not force so many throws like we have been the last couple games and turn the ball over. Who's your MVP to beat FIU?
So I've been going with the running back, Elijah Young here the last few weeks, and I didn't pick a senior for senior day, and I'm going to on the regular season finale. I'm going to go with Malachi Corley as my MVP. So I'm switching up a little bit.
I feel like you're reading my mind. I don't even have this written down. It's in my head. You're reading my mind. I'm going with Malachi Corley, and I'm doing it for a little bit different reason. I just updated this stat on Twitter before we started recording. Malachi Corley is currently 4 receptions behind tying Taywan Taylor for the program record for receptions. He has 249. Taywan Taylor has 253. With 4 receptions, he ties, 5 he breaks. I think that's something that he's definitely looking forward to. I think he's going to do it. And then between when he does it in the end of that FIU game and then the bowl game, he's going to put some distance between himself and Taywan and whoever in the future may try to come and break that record of his, because records are made to be broken. Somebody's going to come along eventually and break it. The next great wide receiver. But remember, Malachi's done this in 3 seasons, and he missed 2 games. Virtually all the USF game. He missed the Houston Christian game, and is still, approaching 70 receptions on the year. Having a really solid year. Went out with 10 catches, 171 yards for his final home game, and now I think his encore performance is going to be, give me the ball, let me eat, let me go make a play. I expect him to have a big game versus FIU. And just close out his regular season career with a bang and with a record. So give me Malachi Corley. Now, what is your score prediction versus FIU?
All right, so preseason I had it 38-19 in favor of the Tops. I'm going to knock that down, both numbers a little bit. I think it's going to be 13 points for FIU and 35 for the Tops. So Tops win, cover the spread. I'm not knocking much off, but I'm knocking a little bit off.
Yeah, my preseason prediction was 42-17 as I'm looking at it, and not comfortable going that high. I'm going to knock mine down a little bit too. I'm going to go 31-21, Tops win. It is a 10-point victory. We're favored by 10. We don't get to the over-under 54.5, but we still win, hopefully comfortably, hopefully not coming down to the wire at FIU. But we'll see. We'll see which team shows up. Is it going to be consistent Tops, or is it going to be turning the ball over a ton. But that's it. That wraps up our FIU preview coming up this Saturday. I guess my final words, like we've said earlier, we're not glossing over. This season has been a little disappointing. I think if you get into the comments on Facebook or Twitter after a final game score or whatever, the football group, it's been disappointing. We need to finish the season strong. Winning versus Sam Houston was the right step, beating FIU, and then hopefully whatever bowl game we get into will kind of help, I guess, take some of the sour taste out of our mouth. Right now, the way the season's played out, with so many new faces on the roster, new coaches, I tweeted it yesterday, I think it was, it's almost portal season. We've started to see players from other teams announcing that they're hitting the portal. Not going to be surprised if, nearly immediately after this FIU game, before they're even back in Bowling Green, we start seeing names pop up that are hitting the portal from Western. Hopefully no big names, obviously, but it's just, it is what it is these days. Players are going to be unhappy and want to see more game time, whatever the reason may be. Not going to be surprised to see a lot of players trying to move on, and then probably even some staff shakeups after this season ends. I just think the way it's played out, similar to 2020, the Piggy T year, there was a lot of shakeups that offseason. And, I fully expect and trust, Tyson Helton to identify what changes need to be made and to make those changes. I mean, that's ultimately why he gets paid the big bucks. We were the preseason favorite, like we said, 9, 10, 11 wins possibility. And we've struggled offensively. We've been inconsistent all year. We haven't had a creative offense that's moved the ball down the field and scored, 30, 40 points a game. We've become, just easy to predict what we're going to do. A lot of punts, not a lot of points, and not as many wins as we would like to see. We're not going to sugarcoat that. We've said that multiple times. Losing to Jacksonville State earlier this season was unacceptable. Losing to New Mexico State with so much on the line was unacceptable. Barely beating a 2-win Sam Houston team was unacceptable on senior night at home. That's tough. Obviously, some things need to change. I fully, like I said, I trust Coach Helton to make those changes, but who's got it better than us? Nobody. I have full faith in Coach Helton. Still going to support these tops, these teams. All the players, anybody that's here on this team right now playing against FIU, the bowl game, and even players that decide to go elsewhere. Always going to support those guys. Always going to keep up with them, how they doing, where they at. You just have to keep those relationships alive just because you never know who's going to come back. It's happened before in multiple sports. So we'll see. I just want to see this season end on a high note. Beat FIU, beat whomever our bowl opponent is, and then figure this thing out in the offseason and come back better and stronger next year. Tyler, hit us with your final words. Take us the heck out of here.
All right, yeah. I mean, it's always a good day to wake up as a Hilltopper fan. Yeah, this season has been kind of a disappointing, but hey, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying, the season's almost over. Well, I mean, I ain't gonna look at it that way because every time the tops take the field, I always believe they're going to win, except for maybe one game, and that was against Ohio State. I still was hoping they'd win, and I was pulling for them, but it didn't come to fruition like I thought it would. I hope everybody has a great, Thanksgiving. Hope everybody has safe travels. Everyone has fun time with their family, eats a lot of food, enjoys the day, gets some rest. Hopefully, our football team still eats enough to be full, but don't eat enough to slow them down on Saturday. Hopefully, they get all that out of their system. Basketball, they're playing up in Canada. I think their first game is today or tomorrow? Thursday. Thanks. Friday. The first game's Friday. Hopefully they have a good showing up there. But yeah, y'all. Everyone, like I said, hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving. Hopefully the Tops go and kick some butt this weekend. And as I always say, Moff, who has it better than us?
Nobody, buddy.
Nobody.
Go Tops.
Go Tops, y'all.
Later, guys.
See you.